In the state of Missouri, school attendance rates have fallen significantly, and, no surprise, math and reading scores have dropped. On June 15, 2023, the Missouri Supreme Court ruled that parents could be jailed if their children missed enough school. And I thought, what did I just read? I couldn't believe my eyes. Somebody is holding parents accountable instead of blaming society. This is rare. We live in a victim society. We blame everybody but ourselves for our problems. We blame the schools, the teachers, society, the government, guns, drugs, race, blah, blah, blah. We teach our children to blame, and it's killing them. And parents are not taking responsibility. Understandable, since parents are being fired. Listen to that again. We understand firing politicians and teachers. Parents are being fired. They're being released from their jobs by everybody. The schools fire parents because they teach gender, social skills, gender identification, sexual orientation without the permission of parents. So they fire the parents. The schools teach social emotional learning, which is the process of developing the awareness, self-control, and interpersonal skills that they say are vital for school work and life success. In other words, at school, they're teaching children how to live without us, the parent, without our permission, without anything. And it turns out that 76% of principals are using this program, these social emotional skills, and parents are letting it happen. The states are firing parents. There are many states that are entertaining proposals that kids can get gender change affirmation without parental knowledge. I'm not making any conversation here about whether gender change is acceptable, but to change the gender of a child without the child's permission or without the parent's permission, utterly inconceivable and unforgivable. One state said that parents can be, or is proposing that parents can be prosecuted for failure to support the gender change, and parents are letting it happen. I'm Greg Bear, and I specialize in teaching practical parenting lessons in a clear and practical way. You'll see your confidence grow almost instantly, which will enhance your credibility and effectiveness with your children. For an easy and steady stream of actionable lessons, hit the like, subscribe, and bell on this YouTube channel. Now, back to Missouri. The case before the state Supreme Court focused on two mothers who were sentenced to jail after their elementary school-age children missed more days of class than allowed, as clearly stated in the handbooks that the parents had read. So the parents knew about these rules. Education experts have stated that if kids miss more than 18 days in a 180-day school year, studies have shown that it disrupts learning for the students missing the class and their peers who have to hear a repetition of the material when the student comes back. Well, you think? Imagine having to explain this to parents. It's like, duh. Would you want a surgeon to operate on you knowing that she attended class sometimes or completed part of her surgical training? Come on. One education research professor said that maybe kids are missing school because they're being bullied or they're disengaged academically. Well, let's say that might be true. And if a child is being bullied, where did that come from? Well, what does conventional wisdom say? They say that the cure for bullying is that we need bullying classes. So kids are being bullied only because there's a lack of bullying classes. What? Which means the cause is a lack of classes or laws? Wake up. The real problem with kids being bullied, both the kid being bullied and the kid who's a bully, is parents who didn't unconditionally love them. Bullies were not loved. They lash out. The kids who are bullied are weak and afraid and have a target on their forehead. And that's because they weren't loved at home and they don't understand confidence. Bullies don't pick on confident kids. Bullies are predators, and just like predators in the wild, they prey on the weak kid, the kid who doesn't feel loved. Now, back to the expert who was blaming maybe it's bullying. That's why kids miss school. Maybe it's disengagement from school. Well, whose job is it to focus kids on school? The teachers? No, they're there to teach, not to provide engagement from the students. Teachers everywhere say that kids arrive disengaged. From what? School? No, life. They're unhappy, they're in pain. What's the cause? Parents. More of the article with the professor who describes causes of absenteeism. He said, well, one of the causes is that middle and high schoolers can leave campus after their parents drop them off. So parents drop them off, the kid sneaks off, and he's blaming the kids or blaming the schools. Whose responsibility is that? Kids who were not loved and taught by their parents. He blames poverty and the lack of resources, which can lead to unstable transportation, unpredictable work schedules, or children caring for siblings. Look at all that blaming by an education professor. Children leave campus because they haven't been held responsible at home. Poverty and the lack of resources, the parents were not taught by their parents to be responsible. It's always about parents teaching responsibility with love. Experts in education law, or absenteeism say this, quote, given the variety of causes, there is no one solution to address truancy, end quote. However, most say that motivating attendance is more effective than handing out penalties. But there is one solution. It's just that the solution is unthinkable to us because it's never occurred to us. The solution is what is sometimes called in articles the third rail of social commentary, meaning if you touch it, you die. There's a lady named Maura McInerney who has represented many families facing truancy charges through her work as legal director of the Education Law Center, and she criticizes anybody who would hold parents responsible. She says that penalties might cause, quote, friction between families and the school. What? We can't hold parents responsible because it might bother the parents? Well, heavens, we don't want to hold anybody accountable. Let's not hold our surgeon accountable, because if we held him accountable for doing a bad job, it might bother him. It might cause friction between him and us. If that's true, then why would we hold anybody responsible? Wouldn't that annoy the criminals, for example? She is right that fear does not motivate people to do good, at least not for long. Fear motivates you out of, say, a fire. If you're in a fire and you're afraid, it might get you out faster. But even then, blindly and often stupidly. What does motivate long term? Only love motivates long term. Children who are loved and taught are free of pain. They learn because they want to learn, because it's fun. Imagine that. Children are born creative. I've seen it over and over. Children who feel loved, who are supported, they don't miss school. If their parents can't provide transportation, as one person was trying to use as an excuse for truancy, they walk or ride their bikes, and I mean many miles. But they're not truant. Parents who love them teach them how to get from point A to point B. There's no transportation problem. And it's not just a Missouri problem, it's a national problem. In a statement released in September 2023, the White House raised an alarm about growing absenteeism. They cited a study that found that the number of public school kids who missed at least 10% of their days in school year jumped from about 15 to 30% in the past 3 years. It doubled. What's the problem with that many kids missing school? And they discovered it's not COVID, the parents. I have known many kids with educational problems, missing school, bad grades, all of their standardized test scores in the basement. And off the top of my head, I can think of one kid like this, of hundreds, but the one I'm thinking of, getting D's or F's, test scores, just awful. And so what was the response? Tutoring, special tutoring, we love that word, individual education plans. Oh, IEPs are just the bane of a school administrator's life. It was just endless. They did all this stuff to help this kid, and there was no change. Then what happened? Mom studied the ridiculously effective parenting training, no kidding, and learned how to love her kid. She didn't get into the educational plans at all, just learned to love her kid. In 4 months, this kid went from D's and F's to A's and B's, not joking, and his standardized test scores rose 40 percentile points. 40. It wasn't about individualized education plans or poverty or race or schools. It's about parents. It's about you. It's about me. You can learn how to prepare your child for school and for life by learning how to love them. You can learn how to prepare your child for school and life. How? Easy. Go to realloveparents.com and learn everything that you never knew about loving and teaching your child.